So talking about safety on Lake Superior in a sea kayak, the main thing you want to concern yourself with is the cold water. Lake Superior, it's an inland sea, and you get big waves, big wind, big water, but probably the main thing is cold water. And so it's important to dress for the conditions of the water temperature. And so if you have a wetsuit, something made out of neoprene that gives you some insulation value, it really increases the length of time that you can stay in the water if you capsize out of your kayak, or if you're just launching and landing and getting wet. It really will help keep your core temperature to where it needs to be. And also being able to get yourself back in your kayak after you've capsized is very important, because when we're sea kayaking, paddling the Split Rock Lighthouse, if you tip out of your kayak, there's really no way to get in by going to shore. You need to be able to get in deep water. And so learning and practicing these deep water rescues is really important before you go out on the water. Also knowing what the weather conditions are going to be like. If it's calm out, it's pretty easy. But if the waves are 2 feet and bouncing off the cliff face, it can be a bumpy ride. And so it's really important to check the weather, know your limitations, and dress for the conditions of Lake Superior. The weather on Lake Superior can change in a second. And so it's really important to keep your eye on cloud conditions, if the wind starts picking up, and never really get too far from shore or too far out of your comfort zone, because things can change very quickly. Obviously, the most important thing is to have a correctly fitting PFD. There's no way you can get back into your boat if your head is barely above water. And so wearing and having an appropriately sized PFD is important. Also really important on Lake Superior is the type of watercraft that you're paddling in. Not all kayaks are made the same. Some kayaks, like the ones we were paddling today, are called touring kayaks. They have bulkheads, which means they have flotation air spaces in the stern and in the bow. So if we do tip over, the kayak is still pretty dry, and we can bail out what's in there and keep paddling. Some kayaks don't have that. A lot of the recreation kayaks or kayaks without bulkheads fill up with water. And so if you tip over on Lake Superior, your chances of getting in are pretty slim, or at least a lot less. So, paddling with the appropriate kayak, having the appropriate gear, and knowing how to use it is very important. One important thing to consider when paddling on Lake Superior is how much ground can you cover. There's so many things to see. You might want to see it all at once, but you can only paddle so fast in a sea kayak. On average, we paddle about 3 miles an hour. So, estimate a big day maybe is 12. And if you've been paddling for a long time, maybe a little bit longer. But 10 to 12 miles is a good day.